Now, I know we talked a little bit earlier about what you do on your off weekends, just you and I off camera, and you mentioned that a lot of times you're up in Wisconsin. Now, a lot of drivers own, really nice cars off the track. They own boats, they own houses. You own a racetrack. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I don't know what I did there, but me and my father last year actually purchased our hometown racetrack, the racetrack I started growing up at, State Park Speedway. And it's been a big undertaking. It's been a lot of fun, but a lot more work than I thought we thought it was going to be. We've stuck a lot of money into the place, but fortunately we've been having great turnouts, great car counts, great fan support, and it's really exciting. That track back in the 80s and 90s was probably a big part of how I made it to NASCAR and how a lot of racers from Wisconsin made it to NASCAR. And it's exciting to see that track back up and operated strong. And who knows, maybe we'll get one of our drivers that'll move up to the NASCAR ranks in the next few years.
Well, take me back a little bit to that time period. Was there a turning point maybe in your career that you knew that this was kind of where you took a breath and said, I have made it? And did it happen there at that Wisconsin track?
Probably not there. We were just racing for fun and having a lot of fun racing at a little short track. It's just a little quarter-mile short track, and a lot of fans and family and things like that would come out. But my biggest turning point was probably when I was running the ASA series. I ended up winning the first two races I ran in that series, and that was a big thing for me. That really turned around my career. And fortunately now I have ASA coming to my racetrack. In a week we're going to have a big ASA race, 150 lapper at our track. And it's done so much for a lot of drivers in that state, and hopefully running our track and having the support of the fans and the sponsors and everything we have up there, we can continue somebody else's career. Cool.
We look forward to seeing maybe who comes out of Wisconsin next. Now, J3434 wants to know, in your opinion, what are the major differences between the sprint car and the nationwide car from a driver's perspective?
Well, really, from a driver's perspective, it's mostly the horsepower. That's the biggest change that you feel when you're driving the car. Other than that, it's a lot of the similar things. The Cup Series has a little different deal where they can run on bump stops. Nationwide cars have to sit on the springs, so the cars tend to ride a little bit different. But for the most part, the horsepower is really what you feel. The Cup side, it's really competitive over there. The teams over there are really strong. On an off day in the Nationwide Series, you can finish in the top 20. On an off day in the Cup Series, you're going to be back in the 30s. So that's really the biggest difference. But they drive real similar. I think the Cup cars maybe drive a little bit easier because you can get out of the throttle, let the car roll, and get back in the throttle. You can use that horsepower a little bit to your advantage. So either way, both the new cars are running great. I'm really surprised on how far we've come with them since they introduced them, and I think we only can get better with them.
Now, we were talking earlier about maybe a young Wisconsin native getting better and getting into our NASCAR Nationwide Series. There is a young guy in our chat room right now. He says, I'm 16 years old and my dream is to race in the Cup Series. I've never raced and my family does not have enough money. What advice would you give him?
Oh, that's a good question. I get that question a lot, especially at my track or whenever I'm traveling around the country going to local short tracks. The biggest thing right now, it seems like, is sponsorship dollars. If you can go out, really promote yourself, get a sponsor and take it to somebody that's going to help you move along. Earlier in my career when I started out, it was me and my dad. Our first car was $2,500. We didn't have a lot of money wrapped up in it. And we just kept trying to find sponsors so we could jump up to the next series, to the next level of racing. And right now, it's really hard to do that. But some people can go out, they can use some resources they have, and hopefully find that sponsor. But right now, unfortunately for the sport of racing, you have to have a lot of money to compete in these series. And the only way to do that is have a good sponsor.
Now, I know that you have a young, probably wannabe driver in your family. You have a 5-year-old son. Do you see him in racing in the future?
I'm not 100% sure what his plans are. Right now, he's riding motorcycles. He's been riding motorcycles since he was 3 years old, and that's kind of what I started up growing up on. And really, I have a blast with him. I actually went back out and bought another motorcycle, and we'll go out riding. We've got some kids in the neighborhood, and it's neat to see him. He's really into everything right now. Now he's talking about golf, so I might push him that way. That sport's maybe a little easier for him to go out and do on his own and not worry about sponsors and all those big things you need for driving a race car.
I don't know, those golfers have quite a few sponsors themselves all over their hats and their polo shirts. Tanner Johnson in our chat room wants to know, what is your favorite racetrack in the Nationwide Series that you race on?
Well, I really love the Milwaukee Mile. You know, I grew up in Wisconsin, and Milwaukee Mile was always the ultimate racetrack to go race at. And unfortunately, that's off our schedule now. So, you know, I'm a short track racer. I grew up racing short tracks. I really like the Richmonds, Bristols. For some reason, Richmond just is one of the neatest racetracks we go to. I think we put on great racing there. We've always got great fans, great fan support. And, you know, towards the end of the year, we have a race there. It's kind of in conjunction with the Cup race, and the whole points is starting to shake out. So I think that makes it an exciting racetrack for the fans and the drivers.
So you mentioned that your track in Wisconsin is a short track. Do you prefer racing at short tracks?
It's just something I grew up on, and it's something I feel really comfortable at. You know, my little short track that I grew up racing that we own now, it's a quarter mile. It's as big as some, you know, the motorhome lots at the tracks now. So it's, you know, it's interesting. You go to a 1.5 mile track, or you go to a big 2.5 mile track like Daytona or Talladega. It's just something you're not used to. You didn't grow up doing, but the longer you're in the sport, the more comfortable you feel on those places, and I'm definitely starting to enjoy those more the years I've been in it.
Well, you were talking about golf and your son earlier, and the chat room wants to ask you a couple questions away from the track. There was a couple people in there asking, what sports do you enjoy other than racing? And it sounds like maybe golf. Do you watch golf on TV as well?
Yeah, definitely. Usually golf, I'll watch a little bit of it and I'll fall asleep. But that's mainly why I like it. It really is relaxing and fun to watch. And I like a lot of the golfers. You know, there's a great mix of golfers these days, whether it be young guys coming up or the old veterans, and I think that's really neat. And I'm a real big hockey fan. I love hockey. You know, growing up in Wisconsin, hockey is a big part of that state's culture, and like watching the Badgers, and got to meet a lot of professional players that are playing pro hockey now. So I try to keep my eye on all those guys from Wisconsin that are playing.
So I know where you'll be, not tonight, I guess it's tomorrow night. Who are you rooting for, Vancouver or Boston?
I'm actually rooting for Boston. I got to watch a few of the games. I missed the game Monday night, and they said it was exciting that they had a big lead right off the bat and ended up coming out and tying the series up. So I'm excited for the game. It seems like those series always come down to the last game, and usually it's a great game to watch. So hopefully everybody can tune in, and I'd love to see Boston win. Hopefully they can pull it off. And
that hockey game is not competing with any NASCAR events, so we can go ahead and encourage people to watch that. If it was on Sunday or Saturday, we'd say watch NASCAR instead. Now, in the chat room, a couple people are asking about your upbringing, and Derek wants to know, when you were younger, who was your favorite NASCAR driver, and why did you look up to that driver?
Well, what's really funny is growing up in Wisconsin, we didn't know a whole lot about NASCAR. Dave Marcus was from my hometown, and everybody watched him, and he kind of moved away before I was even born and started racing NASCAR. So it wasn't, NASCAR wasn't a big thing. ASA was a big thing. Dick Trickle was really the guy from Wisconsin that everybody watched. And when he moved to NASCAR, that's when I really started watching NASCAR. So I guess I got introduced pretty late in my life to NASCAR, but the guy I always followed was Dick Trickle. I watched his move to NASCAR. He became the oldest rookie of the year, and you know, he was just a good friend of our family's. Taught me a lot growing up about racing, and helped me a lot in NASCAR. He my first few years in the sport, he was always there offering me advice and giving me ideas to try and things to do. And he was pretty much my idol growing up, and I was able to follow him through NASCAR and learn a lot from him.
Very cool. Now, Jessica2424 wants to know what you like most about racing and why.
Really, I just like the competitiveness of it. I grew up racing motorcycles. I was a downhill skier, and it was always very competitive. We've always wanted to go out, try to beat the guy in front of you, and that's really the thing I enjoy most about it. You know, a lot of sports, you might not have that drive to win like NASCAR racing. So anytime I can jump in a race car or jump on a motorcycle, I always want to be number one. And it's just something about that competitive spirit and that competitive drive that keeps me going each and every day.
Okay, on the contrary then, what's the hardest thing about being a NASCAR driver?
Well, it's really a tough sport. It's more like a job than people think. It's a job you enjoy to do, but it's a lot. It's hard on your family. You're away from home a lot. You know, it's hard to find sponsors and keep sponsors happy and be competitive and worry about the cars not running good. So it's definitely a full-time job. I really enjoy, you know, the racing aspect of it. I love working with guys. I love trying to make a car go faster and trying new things and seeing what we can figure out and find out. But at the end of the day, it does wear on you when you are gone for 4 or 5 days from home and you get back, and sometimes you just want to relax and sit down with your family and spend some time with them.
All right, well, we're going to be wrapping up our chat here in just a couple minutes, but for your fans that are on our chat, I wanted to ask you just a little bit about your future plans right now. Do you have any events on the schedule, and where can we see you race next?
Unfortunately, right now, I don't have much going on. You know, definitely getting some stuff put together. I think I'll probably be off for a couple weeks here, but, you know, getting some stuff hopefully lined up for the last half of the season, the last 12 to 14 races. And then working on a deal for next year. You know, I really want to get back in a competitive car, run full time. I think I can compete at the nationwide level for a championship. I just got to get with the right team in the right circumstances to do that. But we're slowly getting everything put back in place. You know, the economy and the change with the cars and a lot of things have worked against me with getting a solid ride. But hopefully in the next month here, we'll have everything locked down for the rest of this year and next year.
All right, well, we look forward to it, and we really appreciate you coming on our chat today, Scott. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's been great being on. If anybody wants to catch up on me, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, ScottWimmerRacing.com. We've got a lot of great racing up in Wisconsin at our racetrack too, StateParkSpeedway.com. People can check out the website, see pictures, a lot of history up there. And it's kind of a neat old racetrack. If anybody can get up there, I'd love to have them see some great short track racing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And thank you all at home for logging on to our nationwide spotlight chat this afternoon. We look forward to you coming back to our website for all of the news and notes and all of the highlights in the nationwide series. Thanks for joining us.